Shannon Sharpe and men like Shannon Sharpe who have that same mindset as him are disgusting human beings. I don't care how much you don't like it, how much you don't agree with it. It's nasty work for a 67-year-old man to be interested in a 19-year-old girl. I don't care what the law says and how legal it is, because I know some of y'all like to throw that out. Some of y'all like to throw out, um, oh well, she's legal. Like just because it's legal don't make it right. You hear me? Like, and before some of y'all, view this and feel like, oh, what about white men? It's always an attack on black men. It's the men in general. Talking about men in general, but I'm talking about my brothers. We have to hold each other accountable. And I've heard the excuse too many times that, like, oh, you know, y'all only doing it because he a black man, because white men do it all the time, man. Listen, it's nasty regardless of who's doing it, but that ain't the focus right now. The fact that, is I think back to high school, middle school, and grown men messing with the young girls our age. And like, I mean, they used to brag about it. And, at the end of the day, they were victims. You got to call a spade a spade. They were victims. But as far as Shannon Sharpe is concerned, he's been moving very nasty over the past few years. Just his stance on a lot of things within the black community. But two, just recently, I guess it was last year, when the audio of him on Instagram live or something, and then they come to find out like it was like something he did intentionally, like allegedly. Like, it's disgusting. That was nasty work. And then to like have basically this interest in such a young girl, you try to pay it off, keep it under the table, and now more stuff is coming out from other women about his misbehavior and inappropriate actions and things like that. You can't make excuses for that. I feel like the people who make excuses for him and men like him are also a danger to young women, because the same people making excuses for Shannon are the same people who made excuses and are currently making excuses for Diddy. Like, it's the same people making excuses for him. And at some point, you got to have an honest conversation with yourself. You have to sit with you and be like, why are you feeling like that? You know what I mean? Like, why do you feel like they have a right to act the way they act and treat women the way they treat women? I think a lot of men who view them as like a peer and think that they've done nothing wrong, I feel like are not only misogynistic, but in some cases can be very violent towards women. I feel like some men who idolize them and don't think that their behavior was inappropriate, you too have eyes for little girls. And when I say about little girls, I mean anyone that is too young for you. There's no way that you're 30 and you find interest in a teenager and a 19-year-old. And your logic is, well, she's legal. That's nasty work. Some of y'all have nieces the same age as the women y'all be trying to date. It's inappropriate. Care what the law says. But it goes to show you how predatory so many people are. And like, this goes back. I have a video from a while back about how the black community protects predators. This is a prime example. And I'm speaking specifically on black men when it comes to protecting predators, because in our community, we all know this. There are some men who are still invited to cookouts, get-togethers, family events, family gatherings, holidays, and everything like that. And the family knows the inappropriate behavior that those men have caused to the young kids in that family, specifically like young little girls and even some little boys. They have a history of violence, but some of the adult women sweep it under the rug. It's like it didn't happen. So as a collective, we are all, you know, responsible for holding people like Shannon Sharpe accountable. Because what happens is when victims are not allowed to speak out and speak their piece, it's a repeated cycle. It keeps happening over and over again. I don't think the community is wrong for calling him out. Just like I don't think the community was wrong for like calling out Diddy, calling out R. Kelly. We are responsible for one another, and when somebody is wrong, they must be handled accordingly. And in this situation, just based on what I've seen, Shannon is wrong. You can't move like that. Some things you can't do. You're willing to pay $10 million for silence. It's like you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation in the first place. That's my biggest issue with this, is that you knowingly and willingly put yourself in a bad situation with a child, knowing that it can backfire you. Like, I don't understand why dating your age is such a problem for him and people like him. Like, there are women who are educated, smart, have their own, uh, you know, that's well put together, that's grown, that are available. And part of the problem is too, like, he has a history of saying certain things. If you watch his podcast clips and things like that, about him being very derogatory about women and saying just that, it's so much inappropriate stuff. Like, I could never sit down and really watch his nightcap stuff, and because for me it seemed like everything was like innuendos, and some of it was too sexual and stuff. It's like just unnecessary, like he didn't want to date his age, he wanted to date his wage or something like that. Like, that's kind of creepy. Like, he he's equivalent. I'm sorry for laughing, but he's equivalent to like those cousins and uncles at the cookout where, like, you know you got to keep the little kids away from because he inappropriate, just based on like some of the stuff he be saying. Like, you had for somebody like him who have kids, he has daughters from my understanding. Like, you think that's appropriate that like you talk to somebody that's younger than your daughter? At the end of the day, no matter how you chunk it up, like, the young lady was a victim and she is a victim. Now, as far as the stuff that was being said, like, literally, like, it's just like horrible. Some of the stuff that like she was saying, like putting a big black baby in me, hear me, like, you want a big black baby, and like all of this other stuff. Like, I don't like the race play thing. Was just, it was very side eye. It was like, it's weird. It was weird to read that stuff because for the life of me, I don't understand how, as a grown, almost 67-year-old man who has experienced racism, who has seen things, who grandparents has seen things and coming up the way that he came up, how he thought that was acceptable and like, he didn't correct it, just end it and stuff. Like, how do you just go along with something like that? It was disgusting. The whole thing is, and at the end of the day, our actions have consequences and he's facing his. And this isn't a time I don't want, what I don't want to see is like now him pop out with like a black woman, because clearly black women has not been his preference. So I don't want to see a black woman try to come to the rescue and kind of like play that image, kind of like that Jonathan Major situation. Like, that was weird. You know what I'm saying? Because he dug himself this hole. And it's not on black women to like ride with you through the end, because now you being crucified by the media. White media is all over you, all over your top. It's not black women's responsibility to come and like be your savior because Monique told you so. Cat Williams told you so. And if you are siding with him on this, you're a disgusting human being. And maybe you need to go seek help, and maybe your family members need to keep an eye on you. If you know somebody like that, if you have a friend or family member that's like, oh, they're trying to railroad Shannon and this, that, and the other, and this is a money grab, if you have that mindset, knowing the age gap difference, and now this other lady has come out talking about, her experience with him and the horrible and horrific things he's done to her. If you still, after all of that, side with him, you're a disgusting human being. And if you have friends and family that agree with him, you need to get them around you, your family, especially if you have little kids. There's no excuse for this behavior. It's no excuse why a man that's 30 should be talking to a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old. Like there's no way. You're at two different places in your life. So what I would encourage you to do some inventory on yourself, do some inventory on the people you surround yourself with. And I thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Quick Little Word Podcast. It's your boy Chris Wright. Until next time, peace, love, and happiness.